the hell is going on here? You ever wondered that? I mean, really? It's very strange, isn't it? It's life. If you don't think so, then I would say you're probably not paying attention. I mean, really. Sometimes people will have, they say it's a midlife crisis. Ever heard of a midlife crisis? Maybe you've had a midlife crisis. I'm I'm 46. I'm in the middle of midlife crisis. Doesn't feel all that different from the crisis of my previous years. So I guess I have a lot of practice, but I think, midlife crisis is in some ways it's like is finally recognizing that this is all really strange. It's a lot stranger than maybe a person had reduced it to in their mind, because a lot of the time in our minds we reduce it to some very simple things. It might be really painful, might be unpleasant, but at least we kind of think we know what the parameters are. It's like life is about fill in the blank. Life is about making money. Life is about being right. Life is about having as much sex as possible. Life is about getting people's approval. Life is about having a big house. Life is about traveling the world. Life, whatever. Life is about these things, whatever it's about. And then something happens in your life. Either you reach a certain age or certain, things happen, parents die or you, something happens in your life and you realize, wait a second, I don't really understand what's going on here. Life is not what I thought it was, or at least it's not as simple. I'll take your word for it. Somebody says, wait until you reach your 70s. I'm not going to wait until I reach my 70s. But I'll be interested to find out what happens then. But I think if I waited until I reached my 70s, I'd never reach my 70s because I'd still be waiting. um, so yeah, I think people have these kinds of experiences where they realize, okay, it's not what I thought it was. It's not limited to what I thought it was. And then they don't know what to do about that or with that. I'm not, I guess, because I don't know that there really is anything to do about it or with it. I'm not sure there's anything to do. Maybe. So I'd like to explore a little bit about this topic. What is really going on? What is this? Because if you're not asking these questions, then, well, first of all, hold on, let me take a step back. I should have had a big warning here. If you uh, want to be really comfortable all the time, tune out now, instantly. Just without hesitation, stop paying attention now. Because because this exploration, I mean, I already got into it, so it's a little too late. That's why I said I should have given the warning before, but at least now, before we go any further, you should definitely not continue with this if you want to just be comfortable all the time, because this is not comfortable stuff to actually question, to be curious about what is going on. So you've been warned. You've been warned. Um, and also, let me tell you, I'm not gonna. If you think that you're gonna get answers, or at least if you think you're gonna get answers, they're gonna like feel comfortable or satisfying. Look somewhere else. This is not the place for that. I'm sure there are plenty that I know there are plenty of places that you can find that will give you answers, that will give you answers that you can feel like, now I know the answer. I know the answer to everything. It's 42. It's not a comforting answer. It's not a good example of a comforting answer. Comforting answer would be, like, I don't know what a comforting answer would be. It would be something else. But anyway, that's not what's going to happen here. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's not going to be it. I can predict it's not going to be that. Unless it is, that would be very interesting. I could be surprised too. So, how's that for an introduction? I decided, I didn't decide anything, but I had a thought that occurred just before we started here, which was, it was nice. It was quite a relief. It said, the, I can't even put it in the exact words, but the right people who can actually benefit from this exploration are willing to hang out in the awkwardness, in the not knowing, in the discomfort. They don't need to be spoon-fed things. So this, I predict that when this goes on YouTube, this will not get 100,000 views. That's my prediction. Because who's going to watch beyond this point? Not many. Because I didn't tell you, I didn't give a clear benefit to you, right? I didn't tell you how this is going to help you in your life. I didn't give you some kind of enticing opening, like the three things you must never do if you want to make $1 million or whatever. I didn't do any of that. So none of those people will stick around, but you will because you're somebody who's curious. You're somebody who wants to scratch beneath the surface a little bit because on some level you're not completely satisfied with the superficial. So, um, before we get any further into this, whatever this is that we're getting into, I'll just set this up with some context. So, this is Relax into Wholeness. It's a weekly meeting where we explore various topics and themes, all of which are connected to the core intention of self-knowledge. Because from my perspective, self-knowledge is important. It's what this is really about. All the other things come and go. Isn't that true? I mean, we want the things have some utility. It's useful to have some clothing and some shelter and all those kinds of things. It's useful. So I'm not saying deny those things, but it's also useful to recognize they do come and go. They are temporary. That's their nature. So if you cling to those things thinking that they are going to give you eternal and lasting happiness, peace, contentment, and satisfaction, boy, are you going to be unpleasantly surprised. I mean, think about that. If you think that getting $1 million or $10 million or getting, the second house in wherever or the third house in wherever else is going to give you lasting, eternal satisfaction, peace, contentment, and satisfaction, it's not going to do it. It's just not going to do it. Uh, but the self-knowledge that you can discover through the proper uh, explorations, using those intentions, those goals, those desires as a vehicle, that could give you what you're looking for. So again, the desires are not entirely useless. If they were, why on earth would they exist? It's just that we need to know how to work with them properly. We need to have the right understanding. Because, like I said, if you think that those things in and of themselves are going to give you what you really want, it's just not going to happen. So it's useful to recognize the truth about that. And everybody has the ability, anybody who's here, I mean, certainly anybody over the age of like, what, 15, certainly, 20, 25, 25. I think certain parts of the brain are not fully developed until around the age of 25. So for those who are under the age of 25, Sorry, but you'll get there. And I'm not saying it's hopeless for you. You might be able to do it now. But in any case, all right, way to go, 26. You're in the club, fully developed brain. So you can recognize then, if you just reflect on your life, that the things that you thought were going to give you something lasting didn't give you something lasting in and of themselves. Is that clear? The things that you thought were going to give you, because we all had that. I assume most of us thought that uh, we were gonna get something lasting out of some of these things. Like you probably thought at a certain age, you thought if I can just go see the movie, then I'll be forever happy. If I can just get the new gadget, I'll be forever happy. If I can just get this person to go out on a date with me, I'll be forever happy. If I can just so um we've all had that thought. Many times we've thought that. We thought, if I can just get this thing, then I'll be forever happy. But you can, in a moment of reflection now, you can recognize that none of that actually panned out. Because you got the thing. I mean, some of the things you didn't get, but some of the things you did get, and the things that you got, it was temporary. Well, temporary cuts both ways. I mean, because if sometimes you think, well, this is it was such a good thing. If only I could have it forever, then I would be forever happy. But unfortunately, it's temporary, so it doesn't work. On the other hand, good news is it's temporary, because then sometimes you think you want something and you get it, and it's like, oh my God, thank goodness it's temporary. Except usually those things don't feel so temporary. It's like, seems like it's going to be forever. But still, you can notice that it's all temporary. So it cannot possibly give you something forever, because its nature is temporary. So reflecting on that is useful. And I saw somebody, a lot of comments fly by. I can't see all of them. I try not to see all of them. That would be distracting. But I saw one person said, if I could just control everything, then I'd be happy. And it's like, yes, exactly. That our desires become more sophisticated. It's sort of like the the magic lamp with the genie that gives you three wishes. And all of us have been through this at some point, where you know, at first, most people are like, "Oh, I'll ask for the candy bar, and I'll ask for this, and I'll ask for that," and then you're like, "Wait a second, but then I'll be out of wishes." And then we realize, "Aha! My first wish will be for infinite wishes." Right? We've all done that one, haven't we? So if you haven't, now you've thought of it, because I proposed it, right? So you could attempt that, but this is just how we become more sophisticated. So as we go along, our desires, our wishes can become more sophisticated. So we start to think, well, okay, that didn't work. Obviously didn't work. Getting the candy bar. What fool would have thought getting a candy bar would lead to eternal happiness? Obviously that won't work. But if I could have an infinite supply of candy bars, then I would be happy. And then you end up with that. You end up, I mean, virtually infinite. You end up as, like, the CEO of some candy company, and you're like, I've got infinite candy bars, and you're like, oh no, I'm not really happy. You got other problems. Now you're trying to lose weight. So but then you think, okay, but I wasn't smart enough then. I wasn't sophisticated enough then. Now I've got it. Now I know what it is. So we keep thinking, now I was foolish then. I was ignorant then, but now I'm sophisticated and intelligent, and I know what is the correct thing, and I've figured it out. If I get this, then forever I will be happy. And if it's not happy that you want, you can substitute whatever it is. I mean, whatever. I don't care. But I'm just using happy as a placeholder. Okay, so whatever value you want to satisfy, fill in the blank with that. So somebody said infinite. I saw another comment. Infinite wishes would be a curse. Oh, sort of, yeah. But you have infinite wishes, don't you? That's the situation you find yourself in. That's what this is. This is infinite wishes. So that's why I'm proposing self-knowledge is much more valuable. But the desires, the mistake that oftentimes we can make is we maybe catch a glimpse of this and we realize, oh no, the desires seem to be the problem. I have infinite wishes and now I'm infinitely suffering from infinite delusion and infinite ignorance. It's like, yeah, sort of. But then notice what people will often do with that is they say, well, I wish I didn't have any more wishes. I wish I could stop wishing. I wish I could be free of desire. I will make myself stop desiring. Did it work yet? Nope. What about now? Nope. They do that kind of thing. And I talk about that. That's spiritual constipation. I mean, oh my goodness, that's awful. Trying not to desire, trying to be very spiritual. Not everybody does that, but a lot of people, some people do that. So if you've done that, then, or if you're doing that, then um, I will suggest that's more of the same. It's not going to give you what you want. It's just a more sophisticated variation on a theme, right? It's the better desire. It's the desire to be desireless. So, but turns out that one's really painful, as are the rest of them. I mean, so so you can't. So it just doesn't work the way that we go about things because we're still focused usually on the what I would say are the wrong things. That by wrong, I just mean the things that are transient, that can't give lasting results. So if you want lasting results, it would make more sense to focus on what is lasting. So then you might start to ask yourself, well, what is that? What is lasting? The kingdom of heaven. So says Jesus, right? I mean, there's the man who builds his house on sand and the man who builds his house on the rock. And the rock, of course, is the kingdom of heaven. So, but then people will do weird things with that in their minds, right? So then the kingdom of heaven is somewhere else. Kingdom of heaven is for those who are good boys and girls who have no desires, who are very spiritual. Double down on that one. I got to be very spiritual. I got to be perfect and pure and desireless. Um, but think about it. That what is eternal? What is lasting? Has to be here and now. It can't be somewhere else. Has to be if it's lasting, if it's eternal. Think about it. I'm actually inviting you for a moment to think about that. Really consider it. Please do me a favor. Do yourself a favor, not me a favor. Who cares? Don't do me any favors, but do yourself a favor. Think about that. Just for a moment. Just notice, doesn't it have to be true if something is lasting and eternal? Doesn't it have to be here and now by definition? Could never not be. It would have to always be. So it so it would be in the future, I guess, but it would also be now. And it would also be in the past. It would be always. So it would never not be. So if you're looking to something or for something that is not here now, then that's not something eternal and lasting. It would have to be here now. Has to be. So if you're looking for something that is eternal and lasting and you're looking for something that's not here, then guess what? You're fooling yourself. If you say, my salvation is in the future, only then will I get that which is eternal and lasting. That's 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 wrong. Obviously wrong. Listen to me. What a obviously wrong. It's obvious. It's not that obvious until it becomes obvious, though, right? So I shouldn't say it like that. I should say it in a different way, gentler way. But no, but isn't it true? I mean, it's when you notice it, then it becomes kind of obvious, right? It's like, oh wow, yeah, isn't that funny? That if it is lasting and eternal, then it has to be here now. It couldn't be exclusively in the future. Can anybody find an objection to that? If so, please let me know. I'm sure you would be wrong, but you could let me know anyway. So, just reading some of the comments. I don't want to dissuade you from leaving comments about other things, but I am, but I scratch my head sometimes. I'm not sure if that was a response to what I asked or not. Um, okay, so I didn't see anybody objecting, so I'm guessing either people never people are not objecting, or people have people have fallen asleep, which would make sense. So what is it? I mean, if you observe what's here now, you just observe right now what's here, then some of what's here right now seems to be transient, doesn't it? Like I'm saying things seems to be transient, doesn't it? Comes and goes. The sound is coming and going. Doesn't seem to be constant. And the movement seems to be transient, right? I mean, there's movement happening. So it doesn't seem to be stable, changeless. It seems to be moving. I'm exercising the camera. Seems to be, you notice that it's darker and lighter as I move. But it's just proving the point. There's change occurring. It doesn't seem to be constant. So there's change in the sound, change in the movement, change in color, brightness. So just notice all the things that seem to be changing. That would be the sand, wouldn't it? I mean, ever shifting. So if you're trying to build your house there, how wise is that? It's not that wise. The thing about it though is that a house, I mean, metaphors only go so far, so we can't attempt to make the metaphor stretch infinitely, but we could play with it a little bit. Because I think one mistake that sometimes we can make is we try to really grasp something that's ungraspable and turn it into something that we can't really turn it into, and then we deceive ourselves. So we could say, we could make the mistake of thinking, aha, now I understand. I should forever be like not involved in the movement. I should have no interest, pay no attention whatsoever to any of the activity. I should forever be awareness of awareness. That should be said with reverb for effect. Sounds like an interesting idea, but practically speaking, doesn't work out very well, does it? Or at least not something that you seem to be able to do. Try as you might. I tried. Boy, did I try. I really did try. I tried and tried and tried. I tried to use my will. At one point, I think it would have been 2008, 2009. I've written about this before. I had an apartment and I never furnished it because what would be the point in furnishing it? I mean, there is no one, there's nothing happens. So there's no one to furnish it, no furnishing to furnish anything with, and no apartment to furnish in the first place. So what's the point? None of this is going anywhere. So there's certainly no point. So I didn't furnish it. So there I was in an unfurnished apartment, and I was uh, ostensibly I owned and managed a business at that time, which I did working from my unfurnished apartment, sitting on the floor. Uh, and so apart from that, I most of my time I was just trying to use my will to be awareness of awareness because I read a lot of books and I was really wanting to be just awareness of awareness all the time, never deviating. So it didn't work. Just long story short, and maybe you'll make it work, but I can't recommend it because it didn't work for me. So, uh, spiritual constipation. So I'm just pointing out that we can notice that there is activity, there is movement. This is apparently happening. There is motion occurring. So by motion, when I'm using the word motion, I'm in this context, I'm using that to refer to anything that is uh, changing. So it's not just what can be seen, but what can be felt or heard, tasted, smelled. So that apparently is occurring. That's not bad. It doesn't have to be a problem. I don't recall that Jesus said sand is bad. I don't think he said that. I don't think he said, I'm starting a mission. All people on earth are to work against the evil of sand. We must get rid of all the sand. All sand must be gotten rid of. We must fight against the sand. sometimes some of us do that, don't we? We turn it into this kind of black and white thinking, awareness is good, anything else is bad. Motion is bad. Stillness good, motion bad. Motion is delusion. Motion is suffering. The world is illusion. The world is suffering. Must stop the world. Which just reinforces it, doesn't it? You know, so I I don't recommend that. I think that that's a common, maybe not that common, but it's a somewhat common mistake. It's not that common because most people will never do that. That's why this is for the the 50, 57 people minus however many note takers are here. 56 people or whatever. I think plus another dozen who will see it on YouTube who will this will also be for. But for everybody, but most people they can't hang with this at all because this is like does not it makes no sense at all. It makes no sense. It has nothing to do with anything that makes any sense to them in their lives. Because for them, their lives are about something completely different. Even the words that I'm saying make no sense. The context in which I'm using the words makes no sense. None of this makes any sense. So this is only for us, I guess. um, I'm just pointing out for those few who this is for, then maybe you can notice how uh, there's this tendency to this kind of black and white thinking to, good and bad. Need to know what is good and what is bad. So then they, say, oh, well, there's stillness and there's motion. Stillness is good, motion is bad. Awareness is good. The world illusion is bad. And that is just more suffering. So I would say take this for what it's worth, but just as a suggestion that you could explore to discover whether this might actually have some value for you. Um, that all of this is happening, all of this is a singularity. All of it has value. All of it is for self knowledge. So trying to reduce it to this or that, good and bad, is maybe has some limited value along the way, but it can also turn into a hindrance, an obstacle, and can produce suffering. And that's not necessary. So we could start. I mean, I guess we haven't started yet, but we can start now. So we could start by doing something dangerous, and this is something that I say it's dangerous, and I mean it. I mean that because uh, sometimes people I hesitant to do this, but I'll do it anyway. Let me say that I hope that this does not work for you and that you have no experience of this whatsoever and that it is absolutely has no meaning whatsoever for you because that would be best, probably. Uh, if you have some experience, then I hope that you can understand it simply as an experience and that you don't give meaning to it. And if you have an experience and you insist upon giving meaning to it, then I sincerely hope that you will give it only the meaning of something which is encouraging you to open yourself to discovering more of yourself, opening yourself up to more of yourself. Not as something, this is what I hope that you do not do. I hope you do not assign meaning to this and say, aha, this is good and everything else is bad. This is true and everything else is not true, because that would be unhelpful. So we could start though by noticing then there is everything which you can be aware of, which is in motion, which is transient. We've already started that, right? So you already started to notice that. So you could notice that now. Notice that everything that you can be aware of is transient. That's how we are accustomed to operating. So we put attention on things, and the things that we put attention on are uh, in contrast to something else, in contrast to what they are not, because that's how we're accustomed to doing it. In order to put attention on something, it has to be something and not something else. I mean, sometimes people think that they could be aware or put attention on space, for example, but I propose that you can't. You could put attention on your hand, right? So you could, assuming you have a hand, if you don't have a hand, then you could put attention on something else. It doesn't really matter, something. But just most of us have a hand or two hands, so you could put attention on your hand, maybe by looking at it, maybe by even with your eyes closed, you could put attention on hand. And how would you do that? Well, probably by feeling, maybe. So you could notice that in order to put your attention there, you are uh, focusing on something that has a boundary. At least it seems like it has a boundary. Your idea of it has a boundary. Because in order to put attention on it, there's a boundary. If you're putting attention on hand, then you are excluding from that whatever is not hand. Hope that you're actually doing this. So I'm saying hand. If you're not focusing on hand, then focus on something else. But put your attention on hand or whatever else it is. I'm going to say hand. And notice that to put attention on hand, you're not putting attention on whatever is not hand. And notice that putting attention on hand involves your senses. So you might be noticing visually what you would consider to be hand. And then you're distinguishing that from what is not hand visually, right? So there's hand and then not hand visually. If there was no not hand visually, could you see your hand? You can say no, because you couldn't. If there was no not hand, then there would only be this infinite homogeneous field of what? What could we say about it? Couldn't say hand or not hand because they'd have to be not hand in order for there to be a hand. So visually, when you put attention on hand, you're distinguishing it from what is visually not hand. So there's a boundary there. Now you could do the same with feeling. So you close your eyes and you could put your attention on hand. I suppose choose one. So right hand or left hand, and put your attention on that and notice how you're doing that. So I most likely there's feeling, right? So there's some sensation that you call hand. And you recognize that as hand because it's in contrast with what is not hand. There's a hand and not hand. If there was no not hand, there would be no hand. Somebody says, I recall the image that I just saw. Yeah, so some people will do that. I was going to mention that, but it seemed like it would be unnecessarily complicated. But since you bring it up, yes, absolutely. Some people will definitely do that. And that's fine. Whatever you do is fine. It's amazing that you can type so well with your eyes closed. So we could go through this. I mean, I suppose some people would smell their hand and taste their hand. I don't know. That'd be odd. Not that it is impossible, but for most people, it's probably seeing or feeling are the primary ways that they would put attention on hand. Now, now look at your hand again and notice there's hand and not hand. And then see if you can find the exact boundary between hand and not hand. So can you find the exact boundary? Exactly. Exactly. Not just the thought of it. Can you really find it? Can you find exactly where it is? Where exactly is that? And if you tell me that you can, I don't believe you. Nobody has said that so far. But so if you say that you can, look again. Because much more likely is that if you're really looking, then at a certain point, probably you're going to start to get fatigued because you just won't be able to do it. Because the whole thing is made up. It's all made up. Now, notice that all the while, hand, not hand, seeing, feeling, boundaries, exact boundaries, trying, giving up, trying again. Through all of this, is there anything that is not changing? And some people are answering in the chat, which is fine. And notice that you, whatever ideas you might have about that. So people are using different words to describe it, which is absolutely fine. There's no problem with that. And notice that the words The ideas are not it. So just notice, is there anything which is unchanging? So you don't have to answer it. It's a question that does not need to be answered, but rather just sincerely ask and notice. And as you sincerely ask and notice, it's possible that something which for some people may be unusual, strange, might occur. So as you sincerely ask, is there anything that is unchanging? And rather than trying to answer it, you simply ask and sincerely notice. It's possible that the seeming distance between the one who's asking the question and the supposed answer to the question starts to seem like it's collapsing. And if you allow that without daydreaming, without going to sleep, if you just actually allow that and remain very awake, it's possible that you might have a glimpse, or even more than a glimpse, of yourself as this stillness. Now, some of you will have that experience and some will not. And that's totally fine. And some of you will recognize the experience and some will think about it. And that's totally fine. Some will have doubts and some will have no doubts, and that's totally fine. Perhaps, regardless of any of that, you might also notice that all of the activity that is occurring, all of the motion, all of the thoughts and the sounds and the desires and all the rest of it can occur simultaneous to this stillness. So it's not like they are in opposition to one another. If you're able to notice the stillness, then you might also notice that all the motion, all the thoughts, all the activity actually does not disturb the stillness. The stillness remains here Some people have an experience like this, they have a glimpse, and then somebody says, well, you should practice awareness of awareness so that you can get to this state and always be in this state. Be awareness of awareness. Be the stillness always. Never deviate from it. Motion is your enemy. Thoughts are your enemy. Don't let thoughts arise. Don't let desire arise. It is your enemy. Practice awareness of awareness. And you might believe it. And then next thing you know, you find yourself sitting on the floor of an unfurnished apartment using your will, trying to make all the thoughts stop forever. And I sincerely hope that does not happen to you because I don't think you would find that pleasant or useful. What I'm pointing out and inviting you to notice, if you're able to notice it, is that this stillness is undisturbed by all of the motion, all of the thoughts and desires. Do not disturb stillness. So then you might be wondering, well, what on earth do I do with this? What's right? What's wrong? What's up? What's down? Should I practice awareness of awareness? Should I try and still my mind? Should I get rid of all desire? Should I try and manifest my desires? What do I do? I did warn you from the beginning, didn't I? This is not for the faint of heart. This is not for those who cling to black and white answers, because it's not like that. That's what I'm pointing out. It, it's we have the tendency, many of us, again, we want to say this is good, that is bad. Say, aha, now I understand what Joey's been saying all along. Now I understand it. No, you don't. Or if you do, please let me know, because I don't know. If you've got it figured out, don't, I mean, as a courtesy, it'd be nice if you would let me know, but I'm sure that wouldn't be you could just start your own YouTube channel and instantly have a million followers because you would have it all figured out. But I don't think that that's really I don't think that's the truth. So why do you seek after that which ultimately can't be satisfying? I'm not, I have to say it because I know otherwise people are going to misunderstand. I'm not saying one is good and the other is bad. I'm not saying that you should practice awareness of awareness. I'm not saying that you should not. I'm not saying that you should manifest your desires. I'm not saying you should not. Still, I know somebody is going to think that's what I'm saying. They're going to think I've said some of those things that I didn't say, despite the fact that I've said explicitly that I didn't say those things. Which is why I said I was hesitant. It's dangerous. In many ways, it's safer just to say, do these three things, follow these three steps. XYZ plan to $1 million, how to manifest your significant person. Took me a while to figure out what the hell SP stands for. I think it stands for significant person. Is that right? Did I get it right? Significant person? No, specific person. Specific person. Sorry. Specific person? Is that it? Specific person? Anyway, whatever it is, I trust that for the 56 people plus a dozen, you are able to receive this in a good way, and that it will help you to open to true self knowledge, which is not available in a book. It's not available on YouTube. It is not something that somebody else can give you. It is not something that somebody has the answer to. It's available to you, through you, as you, for you. And it's all of you, which, if I was to, dangerous as this is, I might say it and then disregard this. If I was to reduce this today to some summary, we can see how good I do. We can ask some AI to give a summary later on and determine whether my summary is on point or not. I probably am way off base, but maybe one possible way of understanding this is that you are the totality, that the self knowledge which gives you true satisfaction is not found by naively reducing yourself to this or that. Our minds want to do that because our minds want to say, just tell me what to do. Just what is it? Is it this or is it that? I need it. I need a direction. Should I just practice awareness? Or should I try to manifest my desires? Because they seem to be in opposition to one another. It can't be both. It's too complicated. Just tell me which one is it. Give me a direction and I'll do it. I'll be good. I promise. And what I'm saying is just notice that that's not giving you what you really want. And actually, what seems to be really obvious, if you just notice, is that you are the totality. Not the totality, not like totality with a capital T, like this special thing over there that will be had in the future that you'll gain the special knowledge of once you've perfected everything. But to the totality, just like lowercase t, but not less significant or less profound, it's just more immediate, more accessible, more true. That which is here now, the wholeness, the totality of you as you actually are. So notice that. That's what we explored, is to notice that you can't really separate out any of this. It's all intertwined. And it's not opposed to itself. Stillness and motion do not oppose one another. Awareness and thoughts do not oppose one another. Completion and desire do not oppose one another. I'm just using different words to point to something. So don't get hung up on the words and think I'm distinguishing between these things. I'm just saying that however you might divide it up in your thinking, if you just observe in your actual experience, it's all indivisible. And that aspect or quality that we might refer to as stillness or silence or awareness is really charming and delightful. So it makes sense that sometimes we would get the mistaken idea that that's the truth and everything else is false. There's no problems. I mean, if you have an authentic glimpse, if you're able to recognize that right now, if you just for one instant like that, just notice this silence, this stillness that's here before the next thought arises. So not trying to stop the next thought, not trying to get rid of the next thought, not making the next thought the enemy, but just noticing that which is here before the next thought. It's problem free. So it's very charming. It's easy to think, ah, that's the answer. Awareness of awareness. Awareness of awareness. We must practice awareness of awareness. I read a book like 15 years ago. That was what the author proposed. He said, organize your life in such a way that you can practice awareness of awareness as much as possible. So do whatever, just bare minimum to eke out your human existence so that you can practice awareness of awareness. Because awareness of awareness was a thing that one could do or should do or might do apart from one's life, right? So there's one's life dealing with the day-to-day life, and then there's the practice of awareness, separate things, very distinct. And one should organize one's life so that you can minimize the demands of doing things to take care of your day-to-day existence so that you can focus on awareness of awareness as a thing apart from the rest of your life and do the awareness of awareness as much as possible. So that's a way that people think about it sometimes. And maybe some people get good results with that, but I'm not convinced that most people do or that most people can, because I think that there's something fundamentally ignorant about that, which is to recognize that you are the totality. You're not just awareness of awareness. Of course, then some people say, well, I'll just focus on achieving my worldly goals. I don't need the awareness of awareness nonsense. It's absurd. Suffers from the same kind of problem, though, doesn't it? Still dividing that which cannot be divided and setting you apart from it as though that was possible. So I'm proposing that it's all one, it all works together. Just notice that when you have worldly desires, when you have problems that are pulling at your attention, resulting in distress, then you experience that as problematic. And for most people, practicing awareness of awareness doesn't seem to resolve that. So then that tends to actually grow more problems, more and more and more problems. Unless you're willing to commit to uh, living in a cave under the guidance of a qualified master and having the life of an ascetic. But it won't work for most people. So, and you're not going to do it. And that's okay. It's not your path, unless it is. But if it is, then good luck to you. But just be clear with yourself, because if you've got a phone and internet access, then you that is not currently what you're doing, right? Like you are not currently living the life of an ascetic if you have internet access. So just be clear with yourself about that. And so don't think that you're going to be able to do that you're going to be able to pull off the ascetic path successfully if that's not actually what you're doing. So if you find yourself living in this world having problems and desires, then trying to brush that under the rug doesn't seem to work. Deluding yourself that you are an ascetic or will be an ascetic doesn't seem to work. So having more awareness of yourself, the totality of yourself, recognizing who you are in relation to your experience, recognizing your creative faculties, how you are creating your experience, including the experience of the problems, recognizing that all of that is occurring simultaneous to stillness or awareness or silence, and that stillness or awareness or silence remains undisturbed. None of this is, I'm tempted to try and tie all this up in a neat package and put a bow on it, but it's not going to work. So I'll stop. So hopefully you are somebody who can be with something that's not tied up neatly, where there may be some discomfort, confusion, leave it at that for today. For those who are here live, we'll stay on for the group coaching. For the, I don't know how many people will watch it to this point on YouTube. If you watch it to this point on YouTube, post a comment and say so. Be curious to know. Um, However many people watch it to the end of YouTube. Uh, to those of us who are here now in this moment together, thank you for being here. Thank you for your curiosity and your sincerity and your honesty. I appreciate you. And like I think I said, if I didn't say it, for those who are here live, we'll stand for group coaching. For those who do watch it on YouTube, uh, since you made it this far to something so strange, you're probably exactly the kind of person who would really like to show up live to these, and then you can also stay on for the group coaching portion. So if you want to do that, which you probably do, then I recommend that you sign up to get that information, which you can do by going to joylot.com. There is an offer on the homepage. Presently, it's for an ebook, which is 5 of the fundamental laws of creation. Uh, when you sign up for that, then along with getting that ebook or whatever it might be in the future, if it ever changes, but for the time being, that's what it is. You will also get an email with information about how to join these meetings live. And as I said, when you join live, you can also stay on for the group coaching, which is, I think, a great opportunity. So I encourage you to do that. And I'll leave the link in the description on YouTube. So for those watching it on YouTube, I'm going to sign off now. So thank you very much. Blessings to you and bye for now.